I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams into modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable.
Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant, modern kingdom for the taking.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sons and Daughters of Liberty. I hope everyone's having an amazing night. You know, some of us are kind of snowed in, with winter weather, but hey, it's been an incredible year. Okay, now what's going on? Wild year, crazy year, but a fun year. It's been a big year for me personally as well. A lot of changes. A lot of changes, a lot of work too. I put in a lot of hours this year. But with that came new opportunities, new challenges. Truly thankful for. And I've got some great news about for channel update. And then, it affects this channel, Sons and Daughters of Liberty, just as much as it affects Smiley's Gaming Lab, my gaming channel. We will now be partners with Rumble, so we applied for the program and got accepted, and it takes effect on the 1st. So tomorrow, one more thing to be looking forward to start off the New Year's right in 2026. Something I was never able to do with YouTube. with 2026 coming up, I do want to focus. I still got to focus on my job because I've got plans. Hopefully, come the fall, I'm going to apply at Northwestern State to get my Sigma 6, which will be the last part I need for my job details and the plans I have going forward. It'll be something that will open up a lot more doors for me. So, but I also do have plans this year and for the 4th of July weekend, I plan on going to Iowa for the celebration of the 250th birthday of the United States. To the basically, it's going to be like every state. It's going to be a state fair, like a world fair, but it's going to be a state fair. Every state representing and celebrating the 250th anniversary of birth of our nation. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm planning on taking a week off for that. Probably do some live streams while we're there. So 2026 is going to be a busy year for us. I also got a few other things in the making. For those that's been with Sons and Daughters of Liberty for a while, you know there's various aspects to Sons and Daughters of Liberty, whether it's rivalries of the chaotic mind, or sitting around the fire, fireside chats. Some of that stuff we're going to be bringing back, working on. A little bit hard. Those are going to be weekend things. You know, I work second shift, so. But we're going to focus on getting more content going and building a bigger audience, which is something we've not done with Sons and Daughters of Liberty in a very long time. In fact, we've let it grow organically. Everything we've done and created, we let grow organically. I mean, we're not going to focus on ads or nothing like that. We're still going to allow it by word of mouth, but we're going to get in some deeper content. We'll still talk about political stuff, but not as much, and only if it's important. I'd like to focus more on history aspects of things. You know, as you know, 250 years as a nation, there's a lot of history. There's a lot of history that we don't want to see repeated. You know, I want to get back talking in the common sense, stuff like that. Fun conversations and topics. Those are the things I've missed talking about. What has 2025 been like for me? It's been a whirlwind between learning a bunch of new stuff. You know, I went from just being I'll never be in a leader position anywhere I work to being a lead now, officially starting the first year, supervisor. They had me on a 90-day probation interim, and they approved it a week ago on my 60-day review. You know, there's no need for a 90-day review. So, yeah, once again, I'm still learning. There's still a lot. Still learning how to deal with certain people. You know, I'm striving in my technical areas, you know, training people, getting people in the right places. You know, I'm good at managing people. Communication's always been my short suit. Yeah, I know, I'm a streamer, right? Communications should be my suit. It's not. It's my short suit. I'm usually the quiet one out of the bunch of all my friends. I was hoping to have some guests on. I don't think it's happening. It's New Year's Eve. You know, like I said, I'm snowed in, or else I probably wouldn't have done a podcast. I actually had plans for this evening. But nothing wrong doing a podcast, drinking alone, spending it with you guys. And it's actually my first day off in almost 7 months, 6 months, on an actual day off. So I had to work Christmas Eve. Was actually scheduled to work New Year's Eve today, but they canceled that, thankfully. But it's come to that. I've been focused a lot on work. And when you 1 to 11, sometimes 1 to 12:30, 12, you don't have time, during the week to do streaming like I used to. And I do miss it. I really do. But at the same point, that doesn't pay the bills. And it never will. That's never what this channel ever intended for. This channel was always intended for have a conversations and debates about topics. Talk about the things that are controversial. Well, they deem as controversial. What we deem as censorship. We should have the right to have an opinion, be able to talk about our opinions freely on any platform. That's not the case. I mean, hell, I've gotten videos removed on YouTube, strikes, and I'm not over there anymore. Yeah, I'm taking advantage of being over here in Rumble and the ability to stream to Facebook, YouTube. Well, can't stream to X. X, you got it set up to where you got to be a paid subscriber over there. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay X when I really don't utilize it much. I'm pretty much over there just because I have a few friends now, and it's someplace I can go. And when I got something to say, vent or stir up shit, it's fun. But I'm also on the minds. I'm all over still, but not as much. Social media, in my personal opinion, is highly negative. The more you step away from it, the happier you are, the less stress you have. But I'm also not doing investigating reporting like I was. I'm not certain topics I'm staying away from. There's a lot of toxicity on social media. And, we get to the point where we're not using social media for what it should be used for. We should be using it. I've always said this, what I loved about YouTube, what I love about Rumble, these streaming services that we have access to. It's a way to talk to each other, learn from each other, have intellectual conversations, debates. It's not about who's right or wrong. It's about learning from each other. And we've gotten so far away from that. We're stuck to the left-right paradigms. It's always argumentative. You can't see the other side's opinions because they're wrong, they're evil. Any of you guys know I'm not on that label game. But, we still see it. We see so much more of it now. To me, I think some of the worst things that came out of 2025 was cancel culture, taking it a step farther, starting to attack streamers at their own personal places, their residence, their businesses. We went from swatting to drive-by shootings. All because people don't, and it's a minority. That's the thing. Every group has their bad apples. Every group has their zealots. The zealots are the minority. But unfortunately, like the old saying goes, if you don't remove the bad apples, it poisons the rest of the fruit. It turns the rest of the fruit to rot. And that's been classical history throughout any organization or groups. It's always the bad apples that we don't get into, because we get into the, oh, they're part of us. They're our brothers. It's the brotherhood. Like the cops. The cops don't turn on cops because it's the brotherhood. They protect each other. When they should remove the bad apples. When people start seeing that, the cops start getting the respect that they once had, the trust that they once had. It's just not cops. It's the same way as the military, any form of organization. We go back to talking about caste systems because we live in a caste system. We don't call it that. We've come up with so many different labels for a caste system, but it's still a hierarchy, even clear down to your workplace. As I was talking, I have my laborers or the production crew. I have a lead. My lead is over the production crew. I'm over as a supervisor. I'm over both the leads. Well, I only have one lead to worry about. I'm over several people, but then I have my upper people that I answer to, which is plant manager, HR. We have all these labels for positions of power. Just because I'm a supervisor doesn't mean I have full say or can do what I want. No, I'm still answerable to the company and the owners. We see it we're taught it in school. We have what we my day and age we called them preps. It got broken down. Then we got sports. You have captain, team captain, co-captain. Then we took it one more step farther. Okay, it's not so good players, JV. The top players, varsity. So we still live in a caste system. And these are the type of topics I like talking about. This awakening the people to the structures. It's like I still enjoy calling out all these politicians who constantly want to lie. Every time it's time for a re-election, I say they're going to do all these things. But as my slogan's been, what have you done for me? What have you done for us, we the people? Nothing. You're still doing the same damn thing. Arguing about the Epstein files when I don't care what Trump says. I'm still paying outrageous prices at the grocery store where I get my groceries. I'm spending almost $200 on groceries and getting less than I was the previous year. The prices haven't come down. Oh, maybe the price of eggs will come down, certain items, but nothing's come down. And don't fall for the illusion that gas prices come down. They always come down this time of year because we switch over from summer gas to winter gas cheaper. Now, I will admit, it's a little bit lower than previous years. But it's still outrageously expensive. If I got to spend if I'm still spending $30 at the pump for a quarter of a tank, prices are too damn high. It's gotten to the point where, we keep getting caught up in the distractions. Oh, we're all around up with the illegals. Well, that should have happened a long time ago. Because they committed a crime when they came here illegally. But that got blown out of proportion. it wasn't as bad as the Summer of Love, which was nothing but violence. I was predicting this year was going to be more violent, and it wasn't because a lot of people aren't on it, and a lot of people realized, we do have a problem. But okay, deporting people back, that doesn't solve the problem because you're still not punishing the companies, the people that are hiring these people. That's going to keep doing it. It's just like if you find a loophole or a cheap way to where you don't have to spend a bunch of money, they're gonna do it. I don't know how many times when I was living in North Carolina, I'd go to Lowe's and all these contractors would come in. You'd have all these illegals just waiting for them to get picked up. They're these illegals were getting paid less than what would have to pay a skilled worker. They don't have to do their insurance. They don't have to. But yet, when they'd round these people up or catch them, they don't punish the person that was hiring them. I'm a firm believer there's consequences to things. If you want to fix a problem, you need to go all the way through, just not put a band-aid on it. Why? Because when the Democrats take power, that band-aid's going to come off. It happens every time we switch labels. So, and I'm just, it makes you sick and tired of seeing the way we get played by these politicians because they're definitely not for we the people. They're not for you. I mean, literally, what you have to do is you have to ask yourself, what have they done for you this year? And I mean the whole administration, both sides of the party. What have they done for you? Have they passed any bills to make healthcare cheaper? Have they passed any bills to put corporations in check, to force the prices down, force corporations to bring the prices down? Did the tariffs work? Yes and no. Yes, they worked, but no, they didn't because it allowed corporations to use tariffs as an excuse to increase the prices on things. And if you paid attention, it wasn't just the stuff being tariffed. It was everything they increased the prices on. But they'd use an excuse. Well, it's because of the tariffs. They just, greed prevails, followed with lies and excuses to cover their asses. That's what it boiled down to. And those are the things, you point out, oh, that ain't happening. And that's not working. Then there's others, oh, yeah, that's working. But, then again, where's our checks, right? I hear that being thrown around. Well, I mean, were we actually promised a check? I'm kind of interested to see what my tax returns are going to look like this year, with all the overtime. I didn't agree with that part of it. I think the taxes should have been the overtime should have been exempt from taxes, and we got that. Instead, just it'll be returned to you at a percentage, so I'm still being taxed for it. So it sounded good, but how many of all those big bills? They always sound good until you start breaking them down and reading through them. But who has time to read through 3,000 pages of garbage that really has nothing half the stuff in the bill has nothing pertaining to the actual bill itself, what the bill is actually supposed to be about? Does Congress make laws to change that? No. Does presidents make executive orders to change that? No. Once again, another part of a broken system. And that is something I am going to get back into this year. Start breaking down these broken systems, healthcare, corporations, education systems. I mean, we all can agree education systems are nothing but indoctrination centers. They choose who they're going to advance, who's going to be the workers or the slave labor. Basically, that's what a worker is. It's nothing but a slave, especially in this day and age. The only difference, you're getting somewhat paid, but you're getting taxed to death. Then you as an individual don't make enough to the corporate. They make enough to pay for the price increases of everything. It keeps going up and never goes down. I've talked about the simple fixes to that, and it's very simple. But unfortunately, it's not that simple because in order to do that, we have to have people elected into our government that actually give a shit, that aren't for the corporations, that aren't for their own greed. Honestly, there ain't a politician out there. I even commented on Anna Paulina. She was talking about. I'm like, well, what have you guys done for us? I hear you talk. I hear you have ideas. But when it comes to bringing laws to the table, bringing amendments and bills to the table, you've done nothing that helps us. You're just a walking mouth. You're all words. You're no action. And that's what most of our politicians are. They're just all words. Once in a blue moon, they'll do something. But if you look at it, when they did something, how much stuff did they get snuck in that we didn't want or don't want? But they'll focus on the things that we want and not talk about the things that we, the people, wouldn't want. They try to hide it in 1,000 pages or more. It's ridiculous. And we've seen a lot of that in 2025. We've seen a lot of inaction in 2025, to be honest. A nice long government shutdown, which personally probably should have stayed shut down. But, hey, they were getting paid. Oh, they weren't getting paid federally. No, but they were getting paid through their shares and investments they have. They were making good money. We do things like that, and we end up in federal prison. It's like I said. I mean, some of the things I'm kind of not looking forward to in 2026. Temple might be going away. I mean, but it's like I said. I've yet to hear him apologize to all those people he talked about during COVID. And he basically condemned, well, now that he's finally got something to lose, now it's a whole different story. I'm sure you can sugarcoat it all you want. Well, that's different. No, it wasn't different. It was people being told if you want to work, you got to wear a mask. It's no different than being shot at. When it comes to being there to support and be able to supply and finance and protect your family. It's the same thing. You're not working, you're not protecting your family, you're not supporting your family. There is no other way to sugarcoat it. Yes, this is a different circumstance. He wasn't even there, but reality sinks in, and all of a sudden now I'm gonna step on. I'm seriously thinking about stepping away. Shit got real. But I also heard him talk about, but he's gonna do something on a bigger scale. which could be positive. But we can't afford to be losing these voices. I don't care whose it is. Hell, I even can't, even Alex Jones. I can't stand the man. I can't stand the shit he says. But we need these people, just as much as we need the people from the opposite label to be able to have their podcasts and streams and have these talks, even though it's all one sided. Because we need to be able to listen to all sides of the story. In the end, it's nobody's real choice and what you think and what you formulate, what you make your opinion is. But if you're going to make an opinion, you need to hear all sides of it. And there's many sides. Like right now. The thing is, the daycares, the Somali thing, getting big news. The billions or millions that they've robbed. And it's just not in Minnesota. Cernovich just found it here in Ohio. There's somebody else, I can't remember her name. Uh, remember the chick's name, but she was in Columbus and found the same thing. These places are running frauds on daycare. But how'd that situation get created? When we allow people from countries like Somalia to come over here unvetted, and we give them places to stay, which is truthfully rigging elections because it's changing the demographics of an area. When you bring mass people into an area, you can change that voting demographic of that area, especially when you bring in an influx of those people into an area. You know, it's nice to see. We got somewhat peace in the Middle East. You're never gonna have true peace in the Middle East. The Russia and Ukraine things kind of died down, which is good. But we should have never been sending millions and millions of billions of dollars to Ukraine, especially when we got our own crisis here. I constantly talk about what about our homeless problem here? That's gotten worse. We've got more homeless now than we've ever had because of the high prices at the grocery stores, outrageous gas prices, the outrageous cost of living. Everything's going up, nothing's come down. Then when the pay raises go up, guess what? The markets go up. The corporations raise the money or raise prices to match your pay increase. So therefore, you're actually paying now in taxes. So you're bringing home a little bit less, and you can't afford the markup. But none of our congressmen and women do anything to put a stop to that. Why? Because they got shares and investments in these corporations. None of them will bring a bill to challenge the Supreme Court to put an end to corporations being able to spend how much money they want on when it comes to campaigns and elections. And how many of these corporations have foreign entities as partial owners or owners? No corporation should be ever allowed to spend a dime or a penny on an election because they're buying the elections. And we get what other problems do we run into with this? Well, it allows corporations such as some of these streaming platforms to do as they please. They don't have to honor the United States laws, constitutional laws, but they'll honor China's, Europe's. But you're based here in the United States, but we're a corporation, so therefore we don't have to. We're a private company. We don't have to. That's a whole nother ballgame. We start talking about private companies because they can dictate their rules and regulations. I mean, is there some perks for working in private companies? Yes. Okay, so marijuana is no longer a Class A narcotic, right? What's that going to do? How many states are still going to treat it as such? I know Ohio will. Oh, wait, it's legal in Ohio, but Ohio's done everything in their power to stop any dispensary from being up. Ohio's now in the next step trying to make it illegal, a major felony to transport from Michigan to Ohio, which is technically illegal anyway. You can't bring cigarettes or alcohol across state line in any state. But it would be more severe with marijuana being a Class A. Where I work, zero tolerance, even though it's legal in the state. It's even legal with a medical card. But a private company dictates what they want. So you have a choice. The whole thing about life is choices. Choices and consequences. You have a choice. Either take the risk and ruin everything that you've achieved, or lose your job, be unemployed, or not do it. But yet, that shouldn't have to be a choice. But, a lot of those things fall on common sense, and they think most people, and they truly believe most people don't have common sense, and they're probably right. We live in a day and age where common sense isn't a common thing. Common sense should tell you I don't need to cancel somebody. I just need to change the channel. If I don't like what they're saying, I don't have to sit there and listen. I don't have to sit there and do anything besides change the channel. But in today's age, we're taught that if you don't like it, you need to report them. They've offended you. So report them so you can cancel them. No, that's not common sense. Common sense is police yourself. If you don't like something, scroll down or set your filters differently so you don't see content like that. Change your search parameters so that content don't readily appear. I mean, common sense, right? Very easy to do. But no, that's not how people are taught. They don't want you to do that. They want you to report, cancel, be constantly pitted against each other. As long as they can sow division and keep us divided and arguing amongst ourselves, fighting amongst ourselves, they can do pretty much whatever they want. And they do. It's the oldest trick book throughout all of history. I recommend everybody study the Roman history from the beginning to the fall, especially towards the fall. That's been in every major civilization that's become advanced. That's had some form of hierarchyship has fallen because of the greed of the people. We're seeing now gambling running rampant towards the start of the fall of Rome. Gambling started becoming rampant. Sexual deviation, perversion became rampant. We see that now. Chatterbait, OnlyFans. And I'm saying, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against that. I have it when it's publicized and put out there. Have morals. But hey, if you're making money, and that's in these hard times, I'm not knocking it because that's your choice. That's you know, and I will always support somebody's choice, no matter what it is. That's how you choose to make money, and you're making good money at it. Good, but hey, if you're not making good money at it, find something else. That niche is not for you. It's like I do agree with people. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person, but not a religious person because dogma. If we could strip all the dogma out of every religion, then it'd be a different story because then it would be spiritual. But unfortunately, we can't because they're just as corrupt and greedy as the next people. How many wars have been fought over religion? How many people have been killed over religion? It doesn't matter the religion. Some are worse than others. But it was the dogma that created the problem. It wasn't the spirituality side of the aspect. If everybody was of a spiritual nature, we'd never want to take another life. They were deserving of losing that life for crimes, audacious crimes like rape, incest, stuff that should never happen. But then again, let's not go. We'll skip that. That's another topic. But look at incest. All the monarchies used to use incest to keep their bloodlines pure, but it was illegal for the common folk, you know, to have incest because they didn't want no other bloodlines pure. That's not me making an argument for incest. I'm just pointing out historical facts when it comes to that. And different cultures and societies. It's one thing about us as Americans being here in the United States. We are a hodgepodge of cultures and societies, but we all seem to have a good sound comments of morality, or we used to, and rights and wrongs, right? That others wanted to have, would come here legally to have. Everybody to the American dream. Now, that's what they talk about. You guys have all these freedoms. You don't have to worry about if you say something about your president that might be murdered. But unfortunately, we're starting to get to those points. Like I said, swatting was one thing, and it got took it to another level in 2025. What is it going to be like in 2026? When, politics really starts to ramp up as we start having to deal midterms and stuff. And we all know what happens. If the one side loses, and the other side wins, it'll be a repeat. Well, let's impeach Trump, right? Which the people don't want that. And only the fanatical far left wants it. And a few idiots on the Republican side want it too. But then again, there goes my problem with the whole political structure. It goes against what our founding fathers created. Because of the legislations and laws that our congressmen and women have put into place. The changes they made to the Constitution. To where you have to have so much money to run for an office. And the higher you go up in the office, the more you have to have. They made it so the common folk can't be a president. And that's not what our founding fathers, initially, our founding fathers had the Constitution so where that homeless man over there, if he had a mouthpiece, could become a president. To the everyday worker that works in a factory, busts his ass, could become a president. That's all gone now. You can't compete against the corporation, for one, who backs the corrupt campaigns of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. So your everyday person, your neighbor, can't be that change that we want. And I know we talk about it a lot. Change comes from first at home, then community. Within our communities, we need to find those people. But how do you compete against the corporation? I'll dump millions and millions of dollars on a Republican Party and a Democratic Party and not allow somebody that's from a community that has good views, good values, that's all about the Constitution. No, they don't want that, especially if they're talking about putting an end to the corruption of the corporations. No. And they'll make sure that the Democratic Party or the Republican Party will never endorse them as a candidate for their parties. Well, they create an independent party. We had that same problem. It's a scary thought. And I called it a long time ago. I called it when she first got into office. It's a scary thought that AOC is very electable right now as a president. She could very well be our first female president. That's a scary thought. So a self-proclaimed National Socialist could become our president. And that's something our country does not ever want, need, or see. I'm not talking about a female president. I'd love to see a female president, but not a National Socialist. Socialism never works. Ever. Look at any country that has ever been socialist. Look what happened. Some of the greatest atrocities have come from National Socialists, because that was Nazi Germany. National Socialist Party were the Nazis. Do we really want to repeat that part of history again? There's consequences. There's consequences to what we do, what we think, what we listen, what we take in. How we vote has consequences. But most importantly, the information that we take in, if it's one-sided, has major consequences. We can no longer, going into 2026 and further into the future, we can no longer be one-sided. We can no longer have a one-sided view or an opinion. I mean, we used to call that, what is that? Uniformism. You have to, the dress codes, like Catholic schools. You have to wear a tie, a shirt, a dress shirt. Girls had to wear, the plaid skirts or black skirts, white skirts, whatever, white shirt. It was to create that individualism. Yeah, it was basically create individualism within the structure. Even though we want individualism, as I think for myself, I question everything. I have opinions. That's a different form of individualism. Individualism by itself is cool. Uniformed individualism is wrong. It has purpose. It's psychological. That's psychological warfare, to be precise. When you start getting into the uniform uniformism of individualism. No, we want a society of free thinkers, not a society of one-mindedness or one label. When we vote, it should never be based on a label anyway. It should be based on actions. You know, we all can talk a good game. Words without actions is nothing. It's just wasted words, wasted air, wasted energy. But when you apply action to that, now I can see who you are, what you're about, what you've done. I can judge my decisions based on your actions that back up your words. That's how we should be voting. That's how we should be dealing with everything, not adhering to a label. Because we've seen, during the alt movement, the division labels, the creation of categories within a label that was meant to subjugate and divide and weaken that label. And it's just gotten worse as the years progressed. It's gotten bad in 2025. 2025 has been, most people would think, a quiet year, but it hasn't. 2025 has been a lot of psychological manipulation. And it's basically the setting of what's to come in 2026, 2027, and 2028. It's basically casting the seeds, planting the seeds, and start to cultivate them in the coming years. For me personally, I'm looking forward to 2026 for my personal growth and well-being and the things that I want, my goals, which are already set. I don't make New Year's resolutions. I set goals. And there's a lot I want to accomplish this year. Like I said, modeling my Sigma 6 starting in fall next year. I've already already took the right steps in achieving that. I've already got my computer stuff that I needed for that. The Word spreadsheet, all that. And I get, starting the end of next month, I've got opportunities to take some classes for supervisor position role that they've offered us, and I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, I'm progressing in an area that I never would have dreamed I'd have went down. And I'm thankful for all the people that's helped, that's mentored me and get to where I am today. Ross for basically making me become a lead that I didn't want. Then Jose and Ross for both continuing to mentor me and what it means to be a supervisor, what it means, and how to work with people, deal with people, how to be a better person in general, and not scared to critique me on when I do something wrong, and get on me and ride me. I've had some amazing mentors over the years in my life. And I would like to hope and think that I've been an amazing mentor to other people. I've been plenty of that for things not to do. It's just like it's literally done this year on Sons and Daughters of Liberty in the last year and a half. I'm proud of the new direction it's going to be taking. I'm really thankful for Rumble for what they've offered. You know, I I applied for it not thinking I'd get it. Honest, I'm not a big channel, but what they've done, unlike YouTube, is I don't need 1,000 subscribers. I don't need to reach these huge milestones, which is amazing on what Rumble has done. You know, but am I the Tim Pool, Alex Jones, or whoever, influencer or streamer, whatever you want to call us? I don't care. It's not a label to me. No. Keep it simple. And yes, eventually I'll have, hopefully, over this next couple months, I'll finally have the other room done. So I'll finally have my studio back up. My cams and mics and everything set back up, multi monitors. To where hey, it's just not a picture anymore. Hey, you see my face again. But you'll get to see that when we start doing some fireside chats too. So I hope your guys' year has been just as great as mine. I know most people it hasn't. We've all had our rough spots. As I've gotten older, it's basically come down to learning how to deal with the rough times. Taking the good with the bad and learning from them, which is the most important part. We have to take the good with bad, learn from them, and not let it get us down or sidetrack us. We need to be able to take the lessons we've learned and move on. But a goal never fails. Some goals aren't just not meant to be, but you learn from them. So therefore, when you create your next goal, you've learned what you learned from the goals that failed. You make the changes so the next goal doesn't. Or you come to the realization that goal just, for me, it wasn't reachable at this point in time in my life. Some of the spiritual teachings I've learned over the years, it's helped me learn to change those mindset sets. Yeah, we're all going to have rough times, rough patches. We just got to get through them and take the good with the bad and keep enjoying the things and not let things bring us down. We're always going to have setbacks. It's how we overcome those setbacks that make a difference. I've had plenty of setbacks in life. I've had some major ones. We're 10 minutes to, well, wait, let me on clock. Yeah, we're 10 minutes away from the new year. For me, I'm going to continue this journey that I'm on, continue to grow and learn and better myself for the future. Things I wish I would have done early in the years instead of waiting so late. We all learn at our own pace. Some of us had to learn things the hard way multiple times before we got it through our thick heads to make the right changes in life. Me, yeah, maybe I've focused too much in the last couple of years. I've focused too much on work, but I went from focusing on relationships, and when those relationships went south because they were more determined to focus on their career paths, I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to focus on me. What do I need to better myself? Because, in a way, I'm technically behind everybody else because some of the choices I made early in life. This year I didn't get to do as much fishing as I wanted to. I didn't get to do a lot of things that I wanted to do because I put the focus on work, and it's paid off. Paid off more ways than I can even fathomably put words to, which is kind of odd for me. And somebody does ramblings that mine can't put words to something. Yeah, that's funny. And you're gonna see a lot more ramblings than mine because that's something I do. It's like I said, there's all kinds of opportunities coming up in 20 for every single one of you. If you're willing to set some goals, make some choices, be not fearful of failing. And I know it's hard, especially we're living in some trying times where we're not making ends meet. Sometimes we have to realize that I only need my needs. My wants can come later. And that will help take a lot of stress off things. But then again, this is coming from somebody who doesn't have no kids. Is currently single, so it'd be probably a little bit different because when you start adding more than one to the equation, those needs increase, and so does the stress. But there's ways to still have fun. I've learned a long time ago to have fun on the cheap. Well, as much as I would have loved to go out tonight, well, I did have plans to go out tonight. Weather canceled that, which is cool. I already had backup plans because I didn't. Before the week started, I didn't have no plans, so I already had gotten a bottle of Crown Apple, which should have been peach because I already still had apple left. But hey, it's a hell of a lot cheaper to drink at home than it is going to the bar. It's actually a lot safer. But there is nice things about staying in. There's nice things. I mean, I got all kinds of stuff to do outside. Well, not in this weather, but yeah, I do tomorrow. I'm gonna go get some cross country skiing, and I haven't been able to go cross country skiing in a couple of years because we've had no fucking snow here in Ohio. So I've got that to do tomorrow that I haven't been able to do, that I've been wanting to do. I just haven't felt like making a trip up to the UP to do it. because ends justify the means. Can I actually justify spending a little extra money to make a trip up to the UP for a weekend? So, I implore you, think about what you want for next year and work to achieve those things. Yes, I know this ain't one of my normal, typical New Year's Eve things, because really, I don't want to reflect on anything negative that's happened in the year, which I think is a good thing. I mean, granted, there was something really important. I mean, touched on a few things, but you know, basically, we should be focusing more on the positive things, the things that we can change, the things that we can make a difference in, not the things they tell us that we can make a difference in, or that they tried to influence that we want to. No, I don't want to. That has nothing to do with my sphere of influence right now. These are the things I want, not what you want. Try these things in the year 2026. And I promise you, come this time next year, you will be amazed at the changes and how you feel at the end of the year. Simple life choices. That's all you need to do. Maybe a couple months, just live off only your needs and not your wants. Especially this time of the year is perfect time to do it. For like the first couple months, you get that income tax return back, let it set, pay off maybe some bills. But then you got that little backing as spring and summer come around that you can do something that might be a want that gets you out and about. This podcast actually is not going to be that long. I'm going to stay till the start of the clock turns midnight. And wish you guys all a very happy New Year's as it just turned 12 o'clock. Make 2026 be one of your best years. I know 2025 was a great year for me, and I hope 2026 is a great year for you, as it will be for me. And like I said, look for some changes, look for some new content to come. I'm going to try to at least give one day a week on the weekends, one day a weekend, It might be every other weekend. You know, for a podcast on Sons and Daughters of Liberty and the gaming channel, as well as, doing new things. Like I said, I told you what my plans are for July. And as soon as spring comes around, there's going to be some other plans because I've also got some other things I'm working on. Some camping trips that we're planning to do. Setting up my Suburban for being able to camp out of, adventure, and not have to worry about spending money in hotels and stuff like that. I think it's going to be fun. And those will be like more fireside chats and stuff like that. Like I said, there'll be plenty of rambling as a chaotic minds. As far as what we're going to do with Sons and Daughters of Liberty, I want to get back to about the broken systems, talking about more stuff that I like to talk about, psychological warfare, how they divide us, even more talking the caste systems, things that's going to help us question things, because in the end, that's what our job is, to make each other question things. Because once we start questioning things, we start questioning everything. We start learning more. We start seeing that we've been manipulated a lot more than what we want to believe. That's what I want to focus on more on this channel. And yes, we'll talk politics when it's time to talk politics. But with that said, Happy New Year's, everybody. I will catch you guys on the next one, whenever that may be.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams into modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable.
Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant, modern kingdom for the taking.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough